where you are, yes, there you are. And think we all should be full well where we are. So lightning quick, let's all kick up a fuss. We can but pray your trust is blind in us. So drink your fill and just unwind in us. A warmly wicked frame of mind in us. You'll find in us. We want you and not a lot. We care for where you've been. And not to just we care how you got in. We but care that there you are. Damn it, there you are. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome. A very warm welcome to all of you at this most thrilling of evenings here at the Music Royale. Tonight, we have the privilege of presenting for your approval the premiere performance of The Mystery of Edwin Drood. This being a musicale with dramatic interludes. Now, as you are no doubt aware, our very own Mr. Charles Dickens was full halfway through the creation of the greatest mystery novel of our time when he committed the one ungenerous deed of his noble career. He died, leaving behind not the slightest hint as to the outcome he had intended for our bizarre and uncompleted puzzle, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Tonight, however, ladies and gentlemen, when together we reach that point in our story beyond which Mr. Charles Dickens wrote no more, I shall be asking you to vote upon key questions regarding the outcome of our plot. Our company will then make its most earnest efforts to meet the supreme challenge, to contrive an ending in accordance with your specifications. So come on, let's all be as vulgar and uncivilized as is legally possible.
Have I hurt your feelings, John?
Oh, how could you have hurt my feelings?
Good heavens, Jack! You look frightfully ill. There's a strange film come over your eyes.
I have been suffering from a sort of pain recently, an agony that overcomes me. I've been forced of late to seek treatment in London, but fear not, the effects will soon be gone.
My dear uncle.
And take it as a warning. And Ned, Edwin, this is a confidence between us.
It shall be sacredly preserved, John.
I have confided in you because...
Because we are fast friends, and because you love and trust me as I love and trust you. Both hands, Jack. My dearest Uncle Jack.
My dearest nephew Ned. A life without your friendship would be life as good as dead. The winds of hell may blow, but as you well may know, I'll heed your call, no need too small, and face the far below. For you,
For you,
for you,
for you.
two kinsmen more than brothers, we know no next of kin, and yet we know no others closer neath the skin. The blood that flows between us, the bonds that tie us twain, two kinsmen when all others bleed and we remain. My dearest nephew Ned.
My dearest Uncle Jack. If men say words against you, I would make them take them back. A loyal and an I would be but glad to die. If by my death one extra breath of life for you I'd buy. 'Tis true,
'Tis true,
for you,
for you. Two kinsmen more than brothers, we know no next of kin, and yet we know no others closer neath the skin. The blood that flows between us, the bonds that tie us twain, two kinsmen when all others flee, then we remain.
'Tis true,
'Tis true,
for you,
for you, two kinsmen are we two.
Mr. Clyde Patchett and Miss Alice Nutting, ladies and gentlemen.
dead of night and day, all upon a steely sheet of light I lay, and in the moonfall I'll give myself to you. I'll bathe in moonfall and dress myself in dew. Before the cloak of night reveals the morn,
own and beloved Miss Angela Prissick.
Crime don't pay. That's what I tell them. If it did, would I be here mixing pipes? But then I sell them for a pint of rotten beer. Throats you cut to pocket the rubbins, then you slut to crop some slip. Bash your face for bleeding tuppence. Pure disgrace to work so cheap. So I say to be a sinner for the price of London gin. You can't pay for one's quick dinner with the wages of sin. Sell me so, call out, come off it. Who would buy this sack of skin? On the whole, there ain't much profit in the wages of sin. In the wages of sin. In the wages of sin.
What do I owe them? What they expect? A British subject on display in from Ceylon today. Our emigration to this location has brought the station down a mile. This is the nation, the white creation, in rank and file and English are they and British am I.
British are they and English am I. There are two subjects we don't discuss.
One is a monarch, the other's us.
And I fear you soon be subject to
A British subject nonetheless.
From where and why they'll try to guess.
Cape Town or Burma, what's all the fuss? All terra firma belongs to us.
A British subject bred and born, and subject not to scorn. Our emigration to this location has brought the station down the mile. This is the nation, evacuation, in rank and file and English are they and British am I. And our emigration to this location has brought the station down the mile. This is the nation, the creation, in rank and file and English are they and British am I. This is the way we'll stay. Till we die. Till we die.
Of us might not agree on what to do.
And if I take opposing sides within myself, then who divides up what is right or wrong?
I'll go along with you. Halfpenny, whoppeny, tuppenny, threepenny, 12 to a shilling, twice that to a florin, and would you not fancy the currency foreign to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Bob is your uncle from pennies to guineas, the two-sided mitch is the rule, not exception, and would you not feel quite the fool of deception to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Odds or evens,
Heads or tails,
it's high or low,
or black or white,
it's up or down,
or left or right,
or night or day. Nature's seldom ever fails to most obligingly provide an undisclosed opposing side to one's dismay.
the shadows in this shining morn.
If there's a rose, if there's a thorn,
You're good as dead as soon as born,
and yet we smile. But luck's division is perverse.
It seems to work more in reverse.
If things are better, they'll be worse in just a while. Hippity, whoppity, tuppeny, threepenny, 12 to a shilling, twice that to a florin, and would you not fancy the currency foreign to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Bob is your uncle from pennies to guineas, the two-sided mitch is the rule, not exception, and would you not feel quite the fool of deception to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Hippity, whoppity, tuppeny, 12 to a shilling, twice that to a florin, and would you not fancy the currency foreign to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Bob is your uncle from pennies to guineas, the two-sided mitch is the rule, not exception, and would you not feel quite the fool of deception to find the same face on both sides of the coin?
equal to a shilling plus that to a florin. And would you not fancy the currency foreign to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Bob is your uncle from pennies to guineas, the two-sided mint is the rule, not exception. And would you not go by the rule of deception to find the same face on both sides of a coin? Both sides of a coin. Hey!
Sir, I don't much like your tone, that supercilious sneer you wear. Clear you wear a finer gut than mine, but a waistcoat worn can soon be torn away like you should bleed your blood so blue.
Something in the speech seems ominous to me.
To indulge over each pray promises to me.
Praise to him divine, for this we should be glad.
Won't you try some wine? No good can come from bad! My dearest nephew Ned, I wish to wish you well. The world is yours before you, just like
Oysters on the shell!
Landless as you are, and no, your blood is hot, but less than pure. Less, I'm sure, than we, your history would indicate. The past of some have caverns through your veins, your crudeness thus explains. Something sends a chill like feet upon my grave.
Can my strength and will completely never save?
Could these words I say bring harm upon the lad?
night must follow day. No good can come from bad! My dearest, deepest friends, may I propose a toast to Rosebud and Edwin Drood, 3 cheers.
And here's the roast! How very blessed are we when oh so many starve. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
Which one of you will carve?
Lances cut like blade through, but with daggers drawn I glare at you. There are two who dare presume to stare at who might make my wife and share my life. I see you dead before sweet Rosa wed.
Fate waits near, I feel it, I fear it. We are friends, and yet they'll not soon forget. Hearing Neville's threat, every epithet.
In younger days I hungered for another, Rosa's mother. After Rosa's birth, she left this earth. Now dust is all I'm worth.
So long in time, they
Never the luck, and never the lead, and never you mind, they say. In time we all taste that lime in a light, and I'll have my night someday. Still, each precious part seems over and done before I begun to speak. I cast out my line and keep my hand in, but I'll not stand in this week. Some starless night they'll call toward the wings. Who here dances and sings? That's when yours truly springs, and seeing me there they will cry. Why, he knows each line and everyone's cue. We must let him do the part. I leap center stage, the music will play. I'll waltz my way into your heart. Though ever I plan and ever I plot, with ever the trot to try, I wait for my stuff at all.
Don't fall back on your assumptions, hasty presumptions might do you in. Mind the track like a nag running blind, try lagging behind, you'll find you'll win. But let's talk Queen Victoria. She's had 9 kids to date. You wonder how Prince Albert got enthused. Probably by her decree he had to procreate. Said she, make me a muse. Off to the races, the royal races, the same as poor folks do. Races, the royal races, the same ones as you.
party. Now's the foolhardy fools that we be. Don't unlace your madcap abandon. Do and you'll end undone, not me. So we call upon you all to hold your horses' reins before we solve this dickens of a crime. Sometimes having patience is as good as having brains, so take your bloody time. Pour out the spirits, the end is near it, only a length or so. Don't begin to beat your Torah, for the finish isn't far. Up to the races, up to the race we go. Tally ho!
I only seek the name of love.
I will not fear
I long to hear
my tragic
the
plight.
angry bite
I have a
of
choice.
your fair voice.
I'll take to flight.
One blazing night,
I'll not permit
you will submit
you to desecrate
and give your fate to the name of
love.
the name of love.
The name of love.
The name of love.
The name of love.
The name of love. The name of love. La 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 love. La 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 love. And in the moonfall, can you not free this victim you so enslave? Save me, and let these dreams remain awake. Your own trance mixed with wonder of this love, my own, my love. Your name is love and thrilling to me. Beneath these skies one night unknown, would he dare? Between our eyes one sight alone we share. The sight of moonfall as it comes into view. So I promise that you shall be soon a golden idol, whom I own and love and lead into a sea of light. 'Tis but the falling moon.
Love that's yet to be only just 3 winks away from me, hopefully.
Don't quit while you're ahead. Don't worry how you tread. Who cares?
And there's a chance, one pipe dream that is mine, a romance, quite ripe upon the vine.
Don't resign.
No victor ever fled. Don't quit while you're ahead. To say ta-ra, ta-ra, boom, bang it, dash it, hooray, hurrah, boom, bang it, clash it, hoo-la-dee-da. Don't quit while you're ahead. Don't say I'm off to bed. Farewell.
Full well I know, don't let the moment go to waste. Not with victory close enough to taste. Heed the call with all due haste.
For God's own sake. So raise the stake. You struck a lucky vein, never break through any lucky chain. The refrain. Don't quit while you're ahead.
As easy done as said.
You'll see ta-ra-ta-ree. Boom, bang it, bash it, hoo, glory be. Boom, bang it, clash it, hoo, la-dee-dee. Don't quit while you're ahead. Sing out, there's more in store for me. There's much more for me. There's
love, my child, my home. I'm deep ashamed you went through life alone. And yet despite my dreadful fall from grace, I never once forgot your name or face. One icy evening, a client of mine began to rave and crave some laudanum wine. And as he drank his cup of Satan's blood, he made the great mistake of crying, Rosabud. Well, it's one thing for them like me to mix and mingle with the likes of he. We are both made from God's lowly clay and mud. So how comes this man to cry out Rosabud? Well, I can't see too clear, so I followed him here, finding out who is who. I've come back a time or two, then last night tracking me was this Mr. Datchery. So I followed his tracks to the lodgings in the backs, and I hate to confess, well, I watched this man undress, and I saw sudden wise him without his bold disguise. Took a great strength of will and much wit to have planned this. Dick Datchery is most landless.
I'm in his brain, and if he draws upon the poison man, this opium smoke supplies. Why this great surprise? There are two men in me, and cunning bright is he, who hides himself, resides himself where I've no eyes to see. But now I think he's at the brink of breaking through the door. I'm in, he's out, I'm out, he's free, I'm me once more. How many times I've killed that Drood upon my flights to burst the smug presumptions of his rights as heir, his rights to share my Rosa's bed. It took no smoke for me to picture Edwin dead. That night I filled myself a flask of laudanum, and then to toast my Ned and Neville I drank some. That's when my greatest flight of fancy did take place. I saw my hands outstretched towards Edwin's pale white face, and in the moonfall I saw my fingers clutching his neck so tightly. Touching my sleeve, he fell so lightly. Moonfall then fell on me. But God, the deed was much too easily done. As good as over once it had begun. Such tragedy to finally make the kill, and not to awake to taste the thrill. Now I've confessed, now we both can rest.
I was the likeliest of suspects you could find, so qualified to rule me out of sight and mind. Of course I killed our master Ned, could I forego the chance to gain my pride and Rosa with one blow? I came to this place with just one plan, that you view this face, an Englishman. But all you saw was my hot blood, and I saw Rosabud. Edwin was said was a grand romance. With Edwin gone, I'd stand a chance. That cold December, my blood was warm. We strolled together against the storm. The best of chums, we laughed and talked as home to rest Drood walked. My mood was black then, thunder did crack then. He turned his back and I did lunge. His neck I knotted, his throat garroted. He took the plunge and English he stood, and English he fell. I sent him to his good English help.
Hello all, I am Lazarus, risen from the grave. room behind me is where I faced my closest shave. When I struck my head against the street, I was stunned, not stricken. Our plot doth thicken, for Jasper flew me off my feet to the crypt. I awoke in talk beyond belief, and while all above me showed their grief, I was screaming for my very breath, only moments from death. You have no idea the sudden strength that you feel within you, the steel and the sinew, when death stands smiling at arm's length. I escaped, from I fled, and I did not return here till I could learn here just who in hell would wish me dead. But more than that, more than what solution fits the crime, what I've learned is that life is bits of time, and you fight for every tiny speck. When you're held by the neck, I have read the writing on the wall, and the greatest mystery is not the history of Jasper, Drood, and one and all. I have met my maker and returned. What advice I'm giving to all of those living is just to learn what I have learned. Life is dear, there can be no victory in defeat. If outnumbered, beat a fast retreat to the nearest shelter and dig in.